social studies today. We're going to finish reading the center of our newspaper. And we're ready to go on to this bottom right-hand side, the Roman aqueducts. Do you see that word, aqueducts? Say aqua.
Aqua.
Ducts.
Ducks.
Say it together. Aqueducts. All right. Notice in that part it says technology and science. I wonder why this would be considered technology, or even science for that matter. Let's read to see what it tells us about Roman aqueducts. We owe a lot to another ancient civilization too. The people of ancient Rome gave the world some ideas that are still helping to make our lives easier today. The Romans knew that whenever large groups live together, they need a good water supply. Hundreds of years ago, most people lived in small villages where they were responsible for getting their own water from wells or streams. In ancient Rome, however, the people knew that a large city needed a better way to get water. They used a system of aqueducts, or huge ditches, to carry water from where it was available to where the people needed it. These large aqueducts sloped downhill so that gravity would carry the water from a lake or a river down to the city. The water was often carried in pipes made from lead or terracotta, which is baked clay, and the people living in the city could get water anytime they needed it. Many of these Roman aqueducts were built as early as 312 BC, more than 2,300 years ago, and are still being used today. The invention of the aqueduct made it possible for people to live in large groups and still get the water they needed each day. Okay, so in Rome, because that's where the Romans live, is Rome, which happens to be in Italy, which is the boot-shaped country. Remember, we've talked about Greece now and Rome. Okay, so in Rome, there's lots of different like hills. There's 7 hills that surround the city of Rome. And what they would do, those hills that were up high and the lakes that were up high in those hills, or rivers that would flow down, what would they do with some of that water?
They would build these aqueducts that would push the water into the city, so anytime people needed in the city to get water, they could get it anytime.
Exactly. Was that pretty smart thinking? Because before, these people were having to walk with their pails and go get their water in their pails or their buckets and carry their pails back down to the city. Was that a pain in the rear end?
Yeah.
Absolutely it was.
Spilled all of it.
Oh, well, the computer went to sleep. Kind of like how 3rd graders go to sleep during the day. All right, so they decided we are going to build these aqueducts. And an aqueduct is just like a way to get the water from one place to another. It said that they used terracotta. Have you ever seen those flower pots that are that orangish color that feel like clay? You've never seen a terracotta pot? Okay, we're gonna find one.
Never even heard of it.
Yeah, me neither. Oh my.
That's why you have a teacher.
Oh, that was.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
terracotta. This is terracotta. orangish color, okay? So they would make some of their aqueducts out of those. But they were like big round tubes so the water could go through them. Think of like a straw, okay?
Big.
Except they were bigger around. Well, even bigger than that.
And longer.
Way longer, because they're having to build it up, in the hills. They started digging that, what they call it, a ditch. You guys know what a ditch is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they would dig those, and then they would put the tubes, the terracotta pipes or tubes in there for the water to flow through to where they would need it. Alright, now,
Was it like that one kind of, but longer? The one.
like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been bigger round, but it would be hollow, right, like a
Yeah.
straw is?
Yeah, I was saying, would it be that big and?
Oh, it'd probably be bigger.
What? But that's big. Yeah.
Okay.
Even bigger.
So now, back to the newspaper. So were the Greeks and the Romans pretty creative people?
Mhm.
What are the Greeks known for? What did we read about them? The ancient, what? Olympics. They started the Olympics. The Romans were pretty creative too, because what did they create? Aqueducts. Alright, then we learned a little bit about the Greek mythology. Remember talking about Hercules? How he was like superhuman strength, even as a newborn baby. Okay, on the back side, let's go to the mapping and charting part of the newspaper. So do you see the part that I'm talking about? Right here. We're gonna be looking at the maps there. We'll be answering some questions. We'll come back to the crossword puzzle. Alright, but for now, look at those maps. So it says, maybe I'll put this up on the screen. I think that gets all of the questions on there. Need to get rid of that though. Okay. So there's directions at the top. They just don't show up on mine. So let's look at the directions first. It says on the map below, the names of continents are in all capital letters. The names of oceans are in italics. The names of countries have a capital letter at the beginning of each word. Okay, so let's look down at those maps first of all. Do you see the continents? The ones that are all capitalized?
Yes.
Is this a continent? What is this continent?
The United.
No, that's a country.
North.
North America. That's the continent we live on. Do you see any other continents on the two different maps that they show us? It's like they've taken the whole world and they've spread it out flat for us to be able to see it better. What's another continent that you see? Amy?
Europe.
Europe, right there is Europe. Any other continents? Lucas?
Africa.
another continent, Australia down here. They didn't label all of the continents, but that's okay. There's one more on here that they have labeled. One more continent that we haven't mentioned. Asia, right here. Okay, so those are the continents. The oceans are in italics. Italics means that the letters are kind of slanted a little bit. They're not standing up straight. They're slanted. What ocean is over on the California side of the United States? Do you know which side California's on? What do you think? Take a guess. Pacific, she is right, the Pacific Ocean. That's one of the oceans. What's another ocean that's shown on here? Natalia? The Atlantic Ocean. Those are the only two oceans they have. Does that mean there's 2 Atlantic Oceans and 2 Pacific Oceans?
No.
No, because our world is like a ball, right? It's a
Round.
sphere. And so those oceans kind of wrap around on some sides, and that's what this means. These parts would be wrapped around this way, and these would
So
be
they're
that
wrapped
way.
around the world.
Okay. All right, now it's showing countries: the United States, Greece, and China. All right. Let's look at the questions. Find the equator on the maps on this page. Trace the equator with a red crayon. I don't think you have markers. Get out a red crayon or colored pencil. Actually, get out your colored pencils so that you just have them. But you're gonna need red. Have them out so that when you're finished with your red, you can put it away. First of all, do you see the equator on these maps?
Yeah.
The equator is a line that goes through the northern and the southern hemisphere. Do you see the equator line here?
Yes.
Now, in real life, would we be able to see that line
No.
with our eyes? No, it's an imaginary line that separates the globe, the world, from the top half and the bottom half. So what color do we need to trace the equator with?
Red.
Red. Go ahead and do that now, across both maps.
Were you supposed to leave that tiny space in the middle?
If you went straight across, that's fine. All right, everybody got it?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead and put your red back in your pencil box or in the box of colored pencils or crayons that you use. You're gonna need your pencil now. On which continent is Greece located? So first of all, we need to find the country Greece. Do you see Greece on one of those maps?
Yes.
Point to Greece once you have found it. All right, so the word Greece is over here, right? Oops, I forgot that I still had that writing. So the word Greece is up here. Do you see where it's pointing to?
Yes.
Right there. What color continent does that belong with? Can you tell? It's hard to tell on my map. Is it easier to see on yours?
Yeah, it's red.
It's part of the yellow. And what is the yellow continent on our map?
Europe.
So what are we gonna answer for A?
Europe.
So you're gonna copy the word Europe. You don't have to capitalize it all. If you want to, that's fine. Make sure you spell it correctly, friends, since it's printed right there on your paper for you.
I'm surprised you got N for everything.
All right, question B. Is Greece in the eastern or western hemisphere? Do you see where those are labeled for you? Look up here for just a moment. What does this say right here?
Western Hemisphere.
What does this say right here?
Eastern.
So thinking about which hemisphere it's in, is it western or eastern?
Eastern.
Okay, so let's answer that.
Do we have to write hemisphere?
No, we'll just do eastern. All right, question C. I gotta get closer, I don't have my glasses on. What large continent is south of Greece? Well, friends, look right here on our map. Do you see that on your map? This thing that I'm circling, you don't have to circle it. That is called a compass rose. What's it called?
Compass rose.
And that tells us which way is north. Which way is north on a map? Up.
No.
Which way is south on a map?
Down.
Down. Which way is west on a map?
Left.
To our left. And which way is east on a map? To our right. Okay, so what large continent is south of Greece? Remember this, the continents are in all capital letters. So what's a large continent south of Greece? Australia?
No.
Oh, no, there's one that's like right underneath it, right? What is it?
Africa.
Write it down.
And all.
If you want to do all capitals, that's fine, you don't have to. All right. Question D. On what continent, remember on this map, the continents are in all capital letters. On what continent is China located? Do you see where China is?
Yeah.
What continent is it part of? They've made the country a different color, but it's part of the continent that's around it. What continent is it, everyone?
Asia.
Yes, let's write it down. All right, question E. Name the ocean east of the United States. Use the compass rose to help you figure out which way is east of the United States. So, is this east or is this east of the United States? You're saying I need to go this way to
Right.
go east on this map?
You need to go right.
So what ocean is it that's east of the United States? Everybody,
Atlantic Ocean.
write it down. they don't give us very big lines. What should you do to Atlantic though?
Capitalize.
Mm-hmm. And then we have one more question that goes with this map. Question F. Name the ocean on the east coast of China. Remember which way is east on a map?
This
Is it this way?
No.
No.
Or is it this way?
This
way.
This way?
Yes.
So what ocean is east, on the east coast of China? Everybody? Pacific. Say Pacific.
Pacific.
Okay, then write it down. Right, I think that's a good stopping point for today, once you have question F answered.
Now, what was it?